Sweden, the Scandinavian country known for its beautiful wild landscapes full of rivers, northern lights, natural wildlife, and a history of Vikings. Join me as I take you through Stockholm and show you what you can see there in 24 hours. From my tour of Copenhagen, Denmark, make sure to check those videos out, I took an early morning train to Sweden, which is around a 6-hour, 30-minute ride for around 35 euros. Keep in mind, Sweden doesn't use euros though. In the big cities, they do accept cards. Good morning and welcome to Stockholm, Sweden. I am here at Elite Eden Hotel. It has a great breakfast, comfy rooms, a gorgeous bathroom with heated tile floors, and the restaurant that is attached to it is an Asian fusion restaurant. I ate there last night. They have several dishes that are about the size of an appetizer, so I got a few of those. It was so good. And now I am waiting for my Bolt ride because I had a little bit of a migraine headache this morning. So I'm being a little gentle with myself, and we're headed over to Vasa Museum. I'll show you some of the best things to do in Stockholm in 24 hours. Let's get this day started. Vasa Museum holds a 64-gun warship from 1628 that sank on her maiden voyage out of the harbor. They believe it was due to cargo not being balanced properly, along with overweighting the ship. The mere size of the ship is around a New York City block in length and at least as tall as a 5-story building. It's well worth taking a look if you're in Stockholm. Museum Island could take several days to explore, as there are more than 70 different museums just on this island alone. If you only have 24 hours, I would pick 2 to see at a leisurely pace. If you've been following the channel long enough, you know that I have a slight obsession with medieval castles, Vikings, and pretty much everything from the 16th to 17th century. Going in and learning about all of the different myths and legends of Vikings really set me straight and gave me a greater appreciation for Vikings, not just as fierce warriors, but also as farmers, ordinary people, and families.
Let me tell you what happened with me, Ranfleet, and my husband Harold. It's all about brutality and death.
First on a farm. I inherited the estate from my ancestors.
Should I be forced to marry off my daughter? I'll show you who's the ruler here.
Bring your best men and sail off to Copenhagen with slaves and leather. Come home within 2 summers or it's over.
I see hunger, blood flooding. Beware, Ranfleet.
Out here on Museum Island, where Vasa is, the Viking Museum, and the ABBA Museum, there is also Skansen, which is an outdoor, kind of an old Swedish town, like where the Vikings had their houses. It shows you how life in the medieval century in Sweden would have been set up, and it's a really popular place to go. Unfortunately, because of my late start, because of my migraine, We won't be able to go there today, but I will be heading over to the Royal Palace. But the ABBA Museum behind me here, if you go inside and you're a fan, you can actually do like interactive karaoke. They have clothing, songs. This is a group from Sweden that is very, very popular. They did the songs for Mamma Mia and such. Welcome to the Royal Palace of Stockholm, Sweden. The Stockholm Palace is where the King of Sweden still lives, and you can visit some of the state rooms where official business is held. It can be a bit confusing to know what part of the palace to visit though. I would recommend waiting to buy your ticket once you're there because it can get pretty confusing online and it's not very straightforward on which area goes with which ticket and what you would actually see there. I personally visited the royal apartments, which you'll see here in this video, but could have skipped those to be honest and just seen the royal treasury where the crowns and the regalia are kept. And then Gustav III's antiquities looked amazing, as well as the royal chapel. If you have more time other than 24 hours in Stockholm, definitely go through the apartments quickly. It is also a good respite if it is hot or raining outside. All in all, it was interesting, but I probably could have spent my time better elsewhere. We're in Stortorget, the oldest square in Stockholm. It was actually mentioned in the 13th century, and you can see these old merchant houses around the square. The square was actually the site of the Stockholm bloodbath, where the Swedish noblemen were all gathered for this massive party by King Christian II in November 1522. Party lasted for about 3 days, and then everybody was beheaded because he wanted to rule the area, and he couldn't do that if all of the noblemen were at war against him. So because all the noblemen were killed by him, the following revolt and the Civil War led to the dissolution of the Kalmar Union and the subsequent election of King Gustav I. Behind me here, you'll also see the Nobel Prize Museum, also located in the square. Now, this shows you all of the Nobel Prize winners from the past. When they are given the Nobel Prize, they are invited to a banquet and dinner at City Hall, which is also a great place to check out while you're here in Stockholm. Virgin mojito. It's actually really good and I'm so hungry. So I decided to get meatballs for the people, which is a pretty Swedish dish. It's as Swedish as they come, really. So it's Swedish meatballs with some cream sauce and lingonberries. And then for dessert, I decided on a Snickers brownie. The waiter said it's one of his favorites. The cream sauce has like a bit of a tomato base to it, and then the meatballs are just perfectly seasoned, so they aren't too strong but have a depth of flavor to them that makes them really, really delicious. And then I'm gonna add the lingonberry on top of it with the creamy mashed potatoes. Gotta love that sweet and savory. My favorite. Personally, I like to spend my money more on experiences rather than shopping. However, Stockholm was one of those places I would dare say I would make an exception for, just because of the type of unique gifts that you can get there. Not just clothing, but books, Christmas gifts, Christmas decor, and so much more. It definitely is worthwhile just wandering the streets and allotting some time to enjoy getting lost. Well, that's it from me from Stockholm, Sweden. I am on my way back to Copenhagen, Denmark, and then on my way home. Make sure to stay tuned for the next video. I'll see you guys on the next adventure.